Hello guys. So we are going to continue our discussion with respect to data ingestion pipeline. Already now in the previous video we have seen now how to read a text file, and how to convert that into document using the document loaders which is available in LangChain. Now let me go back to the RAG architecture diagram which we have seen earlier, right? So in the data ingestion phase, we have different files. We have PDF file, we may have web pages, we may have text pages also. After reading the file, the return type is basically a document type. Then we apply something called as document splitter, or this can also be called as text splitter. So the main aim is to split into chunks, right? So in this particular video, I'm going to probably go ahead and discuss about some of the text splitting strategies that is available in LangChain. And as we go ahead, I will be showing you more new techniques, more different techniques as you move towards advanced RAG also. So the text splitting strategy is very simple here. We are trying to just split whatever document we are getting, you know. So let's say over here we saw some of the documents like this document can be of huge size. And why do we make a chunk? The reason of making that split is that every LM model, right? They have some context size limitation. So it is always a good idea that we are trying to split this data into chunks. So quickly, what I'll do is that I'll import some of the libraries. So for different text splitting, here I'll go ahead and write down, hey, do one thing, import all these libraries. That is from langchain.textsplitter, I'm going to import character text splitter, recursive character text splitter, token text splitter, right? And then we'll just go ahead and print the document. So let's say if I just go ahead and print the documents, so documents. So here you can see it is a list of documents, and one of the document is nothing but this, whatever we have read it, right? Now what I'll do, I'll take this document and then I'll split this into text splitter into multiple chunks. That is my M. So the first method that I'm going to specifically use is nothing but it is called as character text splitter. Okay. Now just by the term that you can see over here, it is basically saying character text splitter. Okay. It is going to do the splitting based on the characters. So here, first of all, I'll take my text. I'll say, hey, let's go and read my document of zero. Document of zero is nothing but this is my first file. And inside this, I just need to go ahead and read this page content. Since I need to, do split based on the page content. So I'll just go ahead and write page content. And then I'll go ahead and see my text. So this is my text, machine learning basics. Machine learning is a subset of so and so and all the information over here. Now what I'm actually going to do, I'll go ahead and apply my method one, which is called as character text splitter. So here you can see I'm using character text splitter, and the character text splitter, the first parameter is nothing but the separator. Here I'm using separator. Wherever there is a new line, you have to make some splitting. Okay. So I'm just saying that, hey, you have just made, make split on the new line. The chunk size or the maximum chunk size of one simple search chunk, one basic chunk is nothing but 200 characters. Okay. Maximum chunk size is this. Then chunk overlap, let's say there's chunk that we are basically creating like this chunk 1 and chunk 2 can have an overlap of 20 characters, right? So this is my chunk 1, this is my chunk 2. Between this, they can be same 20 characters. So let's say last 20 characters will also be available in the starting of this chunk 2. Okay. So that is what chunking basically means. That is nothing but overlap between the chunks. And then the length function, how we are going to measure the chunk is that we are going to use the build function length. It returns the number of iteration in the container. So this is what we are basically doing. The next thing is that what I'll do, I'll use this character text splitter and I'll say, hey, go ahead and create this char character chunks. And I'll say, hey, let's use this character splitter. And there is something called as split document. There are two things. See, there's something called as split documents. So first of all, let's understand what this functionality is. So if I just go ahead and show this split document, Over here, it is not mentioned. It is just mentioned that you are going to split the document. But since my main output is in the form of a text, so I'm not going to use this split document. I'll use the split text, right? I'll also show you how we can use the split document also. So once I've actually doing this, I'll have to provide my text, which is basically responsible for the probably splitting this particular text. Other than this, we'll just go ahead and print, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and print this length of character chunks. How many character chunks have got created? How many chunks have got created? How many chunk? Whether it is chunk 1, chunk 2, chunk 3. That length I'm trying to see. So if I just go ahead and execute this, here you can see it has created 3 chunks. The first chunk is machine learning basic. And if I also can go ahead and directly print all the chunks also. So see, when I print all the chunks, it should character chunks. Here you'll be able to see that it is my list. Okay. This is my first chunk, supervised. Let's see this. So if I say print of chunk of 0, then I'll print chunk, character chunk of 1, right? 0th and first index. So here you can see that uh, machine learning basic. Let me just do that thing. Let me even go ahead and write one separator. Okay. So here you can see. Machine learning basics. Machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence that enables systems to learn and improve from experience without being explicitly programmed. It focuses on developing computer programs that can access data, pipes and all. So here I'll again go ahead and write my another chunk. Okay, chunk over here, and let's print another chunk. So since I know there are totally 4 chunks that I've actually got, so I'll just go ahead and read my second chunk. So here you can see types of machine learning, and this is all my data itself. One important thing you can see over here, my overlap. See, overlap between the chunk is put as 20, but the separator is new line. That is the reason you're not able to see overlap, right? So what is the basically happening is, it is basically making a clean separator, clean split. Okay. And that is the reason you're not able to see anything that is getting overlapped, even though you have put a chunk overlap of 20. So this is with respect to character text splitter. Now, the next method that we are going to apply is something called as recursive character text splitter. Okay. And this is the most recommended text splitting technique, because recursive character text splitter will just see the output and then will understand what is the difference between the text splitter, character text splitter and recursive character text splitter. So here we are using separators like this. When I'm creating a list of separators, new line, double new line, space, and this kind of characters. So try this separators in order. Then we'll using chunk size, chunk overlap, same 200, 20. If you go ahead and see this, these are like 200 characters. This may be 200 characters, you know. But let's say before 200 characters on the new line basically is coming up and basically make the split itself. I'll write more information as we go ahead. And then we'll just go ahead and do the split. Okay. So the splitting will happen in the same way. I'll say recursive chunks, recursive character splitter, dot split underscore text with respect to text. Let's see how many chunks will get created. So I'm writing length of recursive chunks and I'm displaying the first chunk 100 characters. Okay. So here you can see it has created now 6 chunk. Now you may be thinking why there is a difference. You'll understand it. You'll understand it. First of all, I'll just try to go ahead and print my recursive chunk of 0. Okay. Then I'll go ahead and print some separator. Let's say I'm just going to go ahead and write this separator. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and print recursive chunks of 1. Okay. So let's go ahead and see this. So here you can see machine learning basics. Since we are applying this particular split, inside our document, there was this one, right? So it made a split over here only. It is specifically using this. If I remove all those specific this thing, and if I just create a new line, this one, And instead of writing all those things in and slash in and all those things. So here you can see machine learning basically a subset of artificial intelligence that, you know, just a minute. Huh. So here you can see machine learning subset of artificial intelligence that enables system dash 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 dash, right? Then types of machine learning is basically that. So now based on the output that I'm actually seeing from the recursive chunks, there are no overlapping specifically happening. Okay. And there may be one reason why this is not happening because see, overlap size is also very small, 200, and the chunk size is very small. And the most important thing is that we were specifically using recursive character text splitter. Here, if I just show you just separator that we are using this separator, this separator, this separator. And there's also an empty separator, right? And our text was in such a way that all the separators were basically making a very clean split. Okay. So that is the reason no overlapping was there. So in order to add one more overlapping technique where I'll probably show you that where we use recursive character text splitter and some kind of overlapping happens. So I've taken one another example, create text without natural breakpoint. This is sentence one. It is quite long. And we have just written not much special character. It is just having full stop at all. And here the separator that we are going to use is just split. So whenever there is a space like this, there will be a split. Here we have used chunk size as 80, chunk overlap is 20, and length function is len. Okay. Then we are splitting this text with respect to simple text that we have. And finally, I am able to see the chunks. Let's see how many chunks will get created. And then what I'm doing is that I'm also making is that I'll write down for I in range of length of chunks minus one, and we are printing all the specific chunks. Okay. Like chunk one, chunk two, and chunk three, how many things are basically given. We'll just try to see how much overlap is happening over there. So here you can see based on simple text example, there are 4 examples. Chunk one, this showing this is a sentence one and it is quite long. This sentence two and it is also, then again two and it is also. This overlapping is basically happening over here. The reason is very simple here because we are just focused on using one separator that is space, right? And that is the reason you will be able to see that now we have very good kind of overlap, which includes space itself, right? And understand the splitting will basically happen when you have an overlap of 80, when you have a chunk size of 80. And when we say recursive character text splitter, that is based on the character we are trying to make the splits, right? Along with this, you will also be able to see chunk 2 and chunk 3. You are also can say last there is an overlap even longer than is even longer than. And in chunk 3 you can see this is sentence 5, sentence last 5 overlapping is basically happening. So just check these specific examples. Let me do one thing. Let me also remove this and see what will happen now. Whether we'll get the right kind of chunks or not. We have got created 3 chunks. First chunk is this. Okay. Now let me just go ahead and print all the 3 chunks. So with respect to these 3 chunks that I have, it focuses on developing. See now it's coming on developing, overlapping is happening. You can also see that to somewhere learnings are also overlapping. Again, it is depending upon the kind of separator that you are using to see the chunks size, okay, and the chunk overlap. So guys, in short, the separators field by default will be having a empty space separator. That means that recursive text splitter or any kind of text splitter by default have a empty separator. Now, even though you may will also like to see that in the character text splitter, we did not get any kind of, chunks which is overlap. So let me do one thing. Let me just remove this and make it as empty. Here the focus will be on completely characters, right? And now if I do this just with an empty character, you can see that there is empty character over here. This is what we are specifically getting. So I'll just go ahead and print my character chunks 0 and character chunk 1. Okay, I have done it over here. Okay, and then line, then character chunks 1. So now you can see over here, it focuses on developing, and on developing is basically getting overlap, right? So here, character based splitter is basically happening. Here, recursive character based text splitter is happening, and I'm going to probably tell you about the different ways of getting that overlap chunks. And overlap chunks is important because just imagine, right? Some information you will be present over here. The same information can also have the context over here. So when we are making the search uh, on the vector database, this and this chunk will be pulled out, right? Will be pulled out based on the similarity search. So we'll be able to get more important information and data out there. Now, these all chunking strategies we are specifically used. Let's use, let's learn about one more chunk if you are interested in a, right? As I told you, right? All these chunks that are able to see, right? These are basically parsing techniques, okay? And as many numbers of parsing techniques, there'll also be a scenario where you have to keep on playing different parsing techniques itself. The third method that I really wanted to show you is that based on token based splitting. Okay. The token based splitting is basically means it is not only going to focus on character, it is going to focus on space, empty space, and that is how it is going to count the token. Like, let's say I have a sentence. In that sentence, you also have a blank. So that is also counted as a token. Here what we have done, we have used token text splitter, we have used chunk size is equals to 50, chunk overlap is equals to 10, and you are going to split this particular text. And if you see the answer, here you will be able to see all the token itself. Okay. And again, based on this, how many overlaps are there and all, you'll also be able to observe. One final thing that I really want to focus on is this, that what is the differences between all those things. So kind of comparison you'll also be able to. So text splitting method comparison, character text splitter, it is a simple and predictable, good for structured text, may break mid sentence. This is one of the disadvantages. Use when the text has clear delimiters. So if you have a very clear delimiter, then you can specifically use character text splitter. In the recursive character text splitter, it is respect text structure, tries multiple separators. You have any number of separators you are specifying in the form of a list. Best general purpose splitter, usually most of the time you will specifically use recursive character text splitter because it supports multiple separators. Slightly more complex because it may take more amount of time. Use when default choice for most text, right? Then token text splitter, these are the advantages and disadvantages, but it is slower than character based because it is going to count each and everything. Used when working with token limited models, right? So this is what we have to specifically use with. So I hope you got an idea about with respect to this. So this was about the second important thing what we have learned, document splitter. And these are the most three common character text splitter, recursive character text splitter, and token text splitter. Right? All these are the important splitting techniques that are at the end of the day why we are dividing into chunks. Uh, because see, at the end of the day, you'll make a search to our vector database. And just imagine the just chunks is converting into vector database and stored in vector database. And because of overlapping, you know, if I'm asking a question, there may be something like there are 1,000 chunks, and that query is available in the 3 to 4 chunks. That similarity search will happen, and 4 chunk will be able to get in the form of a retrieval, and then you will be able to augment it and give it to the large language model as a context, right? And this is really important for you to understand on how you are specifically working, right? So yeah, this is about the text splitter. I hope you like this, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Happy learning. Bye.